our speaker, Albane Bruyas, is a Chief Operating Officer at Scaleway and a very inspirational leader. She's had a storied career rising through the ranks at L'Oreal and LVMH, so she's seen a lot of large companies and driven big impact there. And she's going to share about a sustainable cloud and why it makes economic and ESG sense. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So hi everyone. A few words to begin. In the last century, the Earth temperature has risen more than in 2,000 years. The IPCC report says that we have less than 3 years to inverse the ongoing emissions. And yet, national governments seem to lack real initiatives to improve the situation. This means it's up to us all, as tech sector, to improve what is done today. So, I'm Albane Bruyas. I'm CEO at Scaleway. Just wanted to say a few words about Scaleway. We are, what we say, a cloud of choice. The cloud of choice because we built a French and European cloud provider which enables our clients, businesses, to develop applications on multiple infrastructure. And this word of choice is exactly what I want to talk to you about today. We have the choice as a tech sector to improve. We have the choice to be sustainable. And because I'm coming from supply chain, I would say we have the choice to choose our suppliers. So as I was saying, I'm coming from supply chain, and what is really important in supply chain and in the industry is lean management. Lean management is about savings. It's about analyzing what we do today and try to improve it. To avoid waste. Waste in tasks and waste in raw material. And this is what we can do, not only in the industry, but also in the tech sector. A few figures to make sure everyone is aware of what is happening. 3.7% of the carbon emissions in the world come from the tech sector. It's more than aviation, actually. And if we don't do anything more than what we are doing today, it will double by 2025. The carbon figures are directly related to the raw material of the tech sector. The raw material of the tech sector is data centers. Data centers are consuming 2% of the energy consumed in the world. The good news is, despite traffic tripling and usage of data centers doubling, the energy consumption has remained stable since 2015. This means we have done a lot of improvements. But if we don't do more, if we don't improve more, then it will be around 3.21% by 2030. So what I propose to you is to talk more about data centers. But before this, I want to make sure that you are aware that sustainability is about our planet and is not really a choice that you have, because sustainability is in all millennials' heads. This means 90% of millennials won't work for a company which is not sustainable. This means sustainability, if you are able to prove it, can give you talents and clients. And this is not the only thing. Global climate tech investment has been multiplied by 5 since the last 5 years, up to $32 billion. This means sustainability gives you talents, gives you clients, gives you money. Think about it. So, we were talking about emissions from the tech sector coming from the cloud. The main impact of the cloud is coming from the fact that we have to cool our servers. And most of the industry is cooling their servers by air conditioning. Air conditioning 365 days per year. Other solutions are possible. So what I want to talk to you about today is what we are doing at Scaleway to improve this. What is important to know is Scaleway has a specificity which is really great, is that we own our full stack. This means we own our code, our hardware, and our data centers. It gives a full efficiency control. And we are working since years to improve our sustainability and to lower our impact. Since 2017, we use only 100% renewable energy. This means we are already carbon neutral. But it's not enough. We are using free cooling since 2012. And more special, maybe you less know about it, we are trying to avoid excessive cooling. I'm working with hardware. I know that hardware constructors ask us to cool the servers at 30 degrees. And this is what we apply at Scaleway. When in the rest of the industry, they are uselessly cautious about cooling and cool at 24 degrees. You are engineers, I let you make the calculation, 24 degrees, 30 degrees, the difference in energy consumed is huge. And if we go even further. So I talked to you about free cooling. We have created a data center unique in Europe, which is using free cooling and adiabatic. Free cooling is the fact that you use the air from outside. You don't use only air conditioning all the time. Here in Cluj, I was looking, the average temperature is 9 degrees in all the year. In Paris, it's 12 degrees. This means most of the time, the outside air is largely sufficient to cool a data center and can be used, and we are using it. And of course, then, there are days like today where the air is really hot and you need to refresh it. We have created a unique way of refreshing this air, which is called adiabatic. Sorry. The adiabatic system is based on an ancient Egyptian invention. It's a simple law of physics. Water absorbs heat. You know it when you go out of your shower. You're cold. This is the same. So what we do is that we take the outside air, which is a bit too hot today, and you blow it in a wall of paper, which is moisturized regarding evaluation that we have with thousands of sensors, and we refresh with the lowest water needed, blow it to our servers, and this way we cool without using air conditioning. This saves 40% energy looking to another data centers. So this is really important. When we say this, sometimes we are very expert in our domain. We know exactly everything about the data centers. But we want you, as the people of the tech sector, to be more demanding on your supplier. We have indicators. There is an ISO norm, which is called PUE. And this PUE, power usage effectiveness, is the way for you to control what is the performance, the impact on the environment of the data centers that has been chosen. Our data center I just talked to you about has a PUE of 1.18, when the average is at 1.59. To explain it to you a bit differently, PUE is considering I need 1 watt to make a server function, how much the data center consumes globally. So 1.18, 1.59. We, at Scaleway, think it's important for the customers to know and to control. This is why we have, in real time, the diffusion of this PUE on all our websites. It's important for the customers to know what they buy. But we don't have only, sorry, should work? It's working. When I was talking to you about PUE, it's because most of the cooling of the data centers are coming from air conditioning, but this is not all. If you don't want to use electricity, you can use water. This means that this ISO norm that everyone can look at, or everyone should look at, is talking about energy, but you can drastically reduce your PUE just by using millions of cubic meters of drinkable water in what we call cooling towers. So you have to have a global view, and look at the data center and consider the PUE and what is called the WUE, which is water usage effectiveness. And it's this global vision that will give you the real impact of the data center. Just for your information, we have had 1.18 on the data center I talked to you about. We have 0.112, sorry, which is much better than with 0.2 on our data center. So at Scaleway, we lobby, because there is no ISO norm on this, for all the data center industry to be forced to communicate on the PUE, communicate on WUE, and find a global indicator which enables customers to make sure of what the data center is consuming, what their products are consuming in a daily basis. And as a supply chain specialist, I really think it's your responsibility to challenge your supplier. When you're at home, you are used to buy bio and to make sure and to ask people and the different companies to make proof of their environmental impact. Do the same about the tech sector. Dare to do the same about data centers and cloud providers. And also, dare go further than just the energy emissions. Sustainable experts, supply chain experts, are used to look at suppliers, at the impact which is behind the direct emissions. For the data centers, what is behind direct emissions of the data center is the servers. It is known that 30% of the carbon emission impact of a server is coming from manufacturing. This means if you increase the life of your hardware in your data center, you can really improve the carbon emissions. This is what we do at Scaleway. We have a lot of different projects to make sure we improve our impact on this topic. Just this year, we refurbished 14,000 servers. This means that we have saved from buying 14,000 servers. We are using it up to 10 years, when the average in the industry is 3 to 4 years. This project saved 7,400 tons of CO2 emissions. It's a big figure, so let's say it differently. It's the equivalent of 5,000 Western Europe household energy consumption in a year, which is saved just by refurbishing, putting a R&D team on it, and making sure we can find new products to give to our clients with the hardware that we have in stock. And the same is done on components. We have a tool that enables us to reuse hard drives. It's 17,000 hard drives that has been reused since 3 years. 17,000 of hard drives reused is 240 tons of CO2 saved during these 3 years, only about hard drives. This is when you look, as Lean tells us, where is the waste, where we can do better. And of course, let's be honest, sometimes hardware is just at the end of its life, and so we have 20% of our hardware, we cannot do anything with it. But sustainability is not only about environment. Sustainability is considering the planet and the ones who live on it. This is why the 20% of hardware that we cannot use anymore, we give it to a company which is called Loxy, and which is taking in charge disadvantaged youth to give them a job and training. So, enough talking about us, let's talk about you. My recommendation is to use the first rule of supply chain, which is don't be dependent on a supplier. If you are dependent, you have risks. Sorry. And you have risks, and you cannot have any cost negotiations. You have to reduce prices. So my recommendation about your cloud provider is to be able to change. This asks a little things. You have to check you are not completely locked, because sometimes cloud providers have some part of contracts which ask for exclusivity. You have to make sure your data is interoperable. This means that you are adapted to the different cloud providers. Then my advice, of course, today is to check what is the level of sustainability, what is the impact of the cloud provider you choose. And then go to multi-cloud. Assume to put maybe your data at Scaleway, for example, computing elsewhere, but anyway, there use different suppliers. You will be able to challenge them, you will be able to negotiate the prices, so it's at the same time environmental friendly and cash savings. But balance your need, sorry. And you know what has been very surprising for me, again, about waste, is when I came to the cloud. Before, as it was said, I was more in the industry, the luxury. I didn't know really the cloud. And I was really surprised to discover that, like a TV standby, most of our compute machines are always on. What is the definition of cloud? The definition of cloud is that you should mutualize hardware and share it between different companies. Reality is most of the applications always have the computing on when it's not really used all the time. 7% of the time, the computing is really used. So again, when it's about cost and when it's about energy savings, you and your teams of developers have the responsibility to improve the way they are using the cloud. There are products. It's called serverless. It's called object storage S3. These are products made to save the consumption of the hardware, so made to save energy and costs for you. So think again how you can improve. And beyond infrastructure, you can notably save energy and costs by improving the code. Less data, more optimized algorithms, is less computing, less energy consumed. We are just digging into it right now, making some research at Scaleway, but I really push you to do the same. It's, again, less you compute, less you store data that is not unuseful, and more you will earn some money. And last advice I could give you is what we also learn in lean management, in the industrial part, is that teams, the one that really produce, so in your teams, the developers, are the experts of their jobs. This means a bit in evidence, but did you really ask to your developers how you could save energy, how you could save cloud computing? Most of them are millennials. Most of them are happy and want to work in a company which is sustainable. So there, challenge them. We, at Scaleway, we are participating to the Digital Cleanup Day. We are challenging them. We are organizing hackathons. And this is something fun for the teams. And it can, again, improve your environmental impacts. So this is almost done for the professional parts. I just wanted to remind you something, because I'm really surprised that sometimes people forget, because we are so used to technology that we forget these things. So when you go back home tonight, remember that standard HD on Netflix is 5 times less energy than full HD. So if it's on your phone or on your computer, just go standard HD. Remember that your internet box is using as much energy as a fridge. Turn it off at night. And remember that all what is using computing, search engines, data storage, are using energy and cash. So save energy, write the URL directly, use privacy tools as Signal or DuckDuckGo, and it's all these ways that we will save energy together. So in short, beyond greenwashing, there is a real way that we have a tech sector that can be improved on the environmental impacts. It's our role to dare, to innovate, to look in detail at what we're doing, to make sure that we improve this. Thank you very much.